All right, in this chapter, we're going to be talking about parts ordering. Hopefully you're selling a lot of in-stock parts, and there's going to be plenty of times where you're maybe special ordering parts for repair orders or for customers. And if you do that, you're going to need to use the ordering screen to get the full functionality out of DX1. And so that's what we're going to look at here. To get to the parts ordering screen under parts and accessories module with the right permissions, you'll see the ordering tile. You can click that and it'll land you on the page. We'll talk about a couple of the features of the page before we look at any type of ordering process. You can see as I land here in the left-hand navigation menu, let's close some of these down to kind of help focus us where we're at. We're under parts ordering. Parts ordering really is the title of the whole area about ordering, receiving, and parts vendors. But for this chapter, we're talking about parts ordering, and we'll talk a little bit about the ordering list here near the end. All right, so the other components of a page, we have the plus add button. If we want to add a part, we can click for it, search for it, add it. I could have typed the part number in just like a part invoice, and I could have used all field search as well if I wanted to. So those are our different ways. I have a vendor dropdown. This is where it will show us a list of parts that are connected to a particular vendor. And as you can see here, when I select Johnson, once you add parts to the grid, you have some color coding that you'll see on the page. Rows that are white mean stock parts. Rows that are yellow are special order parts. And rows that are orange are also special order parts, but it's letting you know you already have that part on a PO unreceived in the receiving screen. And rather than ordering an additional one of these parts, if you want, you could just move it to the PO that has the stocking part, being a bit more efficient. And we'll show that process here in a minute after we cover the basics of the page. We also have order types. So if I want to look by just special order, I can do that. If I want to look by just stock, I can do that. Or I can go back and see all. I've also mentioned that you can add parts for microfiche. There is a whole chapter on microfiche where you would go to the images and select the parts. For this demo, I've already added them for a little bit of quickness. So I've added a bunch of parts that I want to add to a new purchase order. I can come down and say submit to DX1. It'll say okay because it knew I opened Fiche from the ordering screen. And when I close that out, you can see here it's adding in my parts. And now I'll have my new CF Moto vendor that I have there as well. All right, so those are my components. Delete selected. You can do this for stock parts. So if I wanted to remove a stock part, you notice it says one, even though three are connected, because in order to remove a customer record from the ordering screen, you'll need to go over to part sales, pick up refund, and refund the parts through that process. That was a couple chapters ago. If you haven't watched how to do pickup or refunds, you need to go watch that video. That's the only way that you'll get these parts removed from the ordering screen. In this case, I can hit delete selected and it'll ask me if I want to delete the one part, and it's just going to confirm what I told you. Parts for customers will not be deleted, but we can see my part removed. If I wanted to allocate this part item and I wanted to move it to the existing PO, I can click the allocate icon. It'll show me a list of available POs the quantity that's on the PO I can allocate to. Maybe for this one, I just want to make it clean because I only have one I need to allocate. And I need to move it here. Maybe if I was doing an order of 10, it would let me move 9 over here and 1 to this one. So I can even split an order over multiple POs. In this case, we'll go ahead and we'll click the box there and we'll click allocate. And from here, once you allocate, you can open the PO if you want to reprint the purchase order or just view it, or if you just want to quickly allocate it and move on to your next receiving process, you can. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click allocate and close. Now that will be moved. And if I go over to the receiving screen, which will be covered in another chapter, but for the sake of this, we can see here again that order has moved, or the customer order has moved from the ordering screen to the receiving screen attached to the existing PO 291. So again, we're not ordering an additional part. So that's a smart tool to make sure that you know how to use. You can also see when I do have parts that are in the screen, some of the other components of what we'll call the ordering grid. The check boxes we've already talked about. This is to have them checked. This is to either delete parts that are for stock or to create a new PO. We'll do that here in a minute. If I need to access a part quickly to change something, details, information, I can get quickly to the part detail on the screen by clicking the pencil icon. And that is the case on most screens when you see a pencil icon next to a part row, a part number, something along those lines. We do have CF Moto here. You can see a part lookup. You might see different logos depending on the OEM that we work with. That will show you if they have the parts in stock, so you can make some decisions. Also, too, you can see here we have our vendor that's listed, and you can change this drop down to do that. You come over here to vendor, and then from here you'll say, hey, I want to change this part from CF Moto to, whoever it may be. And this would be an example where maybe you have access, or you're ordering it from a store. You just want to copy all the information over and then change it to like a different, shop that maybe you're not a CF Moto dealer, something along those lines. But either way, if you need to change the vendor on a one-time basis while the order is being placed, that's where you can do. And if you need to add a vendor that's not in there, you can go ahead and do that, add it to a list, and then it'll show once you get all that set down in your vendor and catalog. And then you would hit save to do that process. We're not going to do that for the sake of this video, but just make sure that you know it is available. And again, in order, even though there's a drop down there, in order to change it, you need to click the vendor hyperlink for the pop-up over here. I can also update my order quantities in this screen. Special orders will be locked, so I won't be able to edit those, but for stocking parts, I can. For all parts, special order or stock, I'll be able to update the cost as needed. Maybe you've done some type of stock check ahead of time, and you know the costs have changed since the last update you got. This is where you could update the cost. You can also update this cost at the time of receiving on either side of it, and hopefully are using vendors that we are working with, such as like CF Moto, for example, that provide price files to you, the dealers, so that as prices update and things like that through the system, you can see them here updated and saving you some time. And again, we can see down here with this one, I have that part detail memo added via microfiche call there as well. So I know there's a memo with this part if I need to see it. And then it'll show me my extended cost, which is the cost times the quantity that I'm ordering. Okay, so that's the components there. When I highlight a part, and you're not going to see a lot of data in my system because this is a clean demo system, but you can see other information down here, part information, quantities, pricing, activity dates, things like when they were sold, set up, last ordered, last received, things like that, transaction type of information. You can see sales history over a couple years, so some good information there. Regardless of whether we have special orders or just stock parts, we'll check the boxes that we want to create a purchase order for, and we can hit new PO. And depending on the vendor, you might see different options up here in terms of what you can do with the PO. Here we can see for CF Moto, I could just save it, which will log it in my system. And then in that case, maybe my reps already placed the order in their system ahead of time. So now I'm just creating the PO. So it's in the system when the parts show up already. I'm going to call him, update the PO number, something like that. I can print this out. Maybe I'm going to print it and send it in via an email, or I'm going to go to the portal and type it all in myself again, but I need to have the list, so I could print it, which is going to also save it in the process and print it out for you. I can also export the file. For those of you who are unaware what exporting a file means, is if you click this button, you can save a copy of this file on your desktop as a CSV. That can then be uploaded into a third-party B2B system or a portal, they might call it. And that can save you a lot of time from manually entering in the items to their system one at a time. And for other manufacturers or partners that we have, you also might see an integrated cart button right here next to the export button that allows you just to skip all those traditional methods and just submit it via an API integration, which is really great. It'll save you tons of time and allows to do some tracking and some other things that you can do in DX1. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and save the file. So that'll create the PO in my system. That again will now, just to kind of reaffirm the process if it's new to you, it's now created a PO in the system for CF Moto. So when the parts show up in a box, we have a link and we know why these are getting here and what they should do. In this case, it would go to the receiving screen. Okay, so that's the components of how to create a PO. We select vendors, we select parts, and essentially we hit the new PO button, add in some details. That part's not very hard. Now, I did mention the ordering list. The ordering list is where you can come over to see a list of orders that you've placed, information that you need to look up. Maybe we want to see something about that last order we placed. We can come over here. We can see there's a large number, well, not a large number, we have a couple status closed and opened here. And we can also see that we have information related to the purchase order that we can visibly see with some basic high level details here right in the screen. Now, if I need to go back and kind of re-access the PO to get some details, again, maybe I need to re-export it, I need to cancel my order, I need to reprint it, something along those lines, I can do that. But as you can see here, once the PO has been created, it's been created. And if I need to make any cancellations or anything at a part level, I don't want to cancel the whole order, but I do need to maybe cancel this part and this part because they didn't have them in stock. You can either go over right to the receiving screen, cancel them right now, or when the part comes in, hopefully it's noted on the invoice and your receiving person can also cancel them, which will eventually close out the purchase order. But this is just how you get back over. Again, if you need to re-export, cancel the order, reprint, and there's nothing really that's going to happen here when you hit save at this point because you can't edit any of the information, but we have it there. All right, so that covers the basics of where to find the parts ordering screen, how to do the basic PO process within the ordering screen, just a small connection to what it means on the receiving side, which is what we're going to cover in the next chapter. So these two are back to back as the process really works back to back. And again, we've seen the ordering list where if I need to go over and reprint a printed copy or take a look at some more of the details of the purchase order outside of the receiving screen, I can do that here. So again, hopefully these tips kind of help you with the basics of how to create a purchase order in DX1.